Hi, welcome to the collaborative research paper Reflection by Sandra DuPont for Ontario Tech University AEDT 1170U Psychological Foundations in Digital Technology with the professor Kathleen Flynn. As a group, we had to choose a topic of interest that pertained to most of us. Since the majority of us in the group work in the education sector or had children that were still in the elementary education sector, we chose to focus on that. We felt our topic fit under the MAD studies since it discusses mental health, and we chose to take it further and focus on an element of virtual learning. We all had dealt with virtual learning at one point or another throughout the year, so we felt this was a great topic. We chose to look at burnout, desocialization, stress, and lack of physical activity as it pertained to virtual learning. From there, we were each responsible to find a minimum of 4 references and divide and conquer. We played on each other's strengths and weaknesses to complete this collaborative research paper. Our thesis statement for the assignment was as followed. With COVID-19, more students and educators have had to abruptly shift to remote online learning and teaching. This transition has had a tremendous impact on students and educators' mental health. The negative effects of online learning range from increased educator burnout to decreased socialization, higher stress levels, and lack of physical activity. However, online learning also provides students with opportunities to develop 21st century competencies and allows educators to build deeper connections with students in a flexible and personalized environment. To complete this thesis statement, we had a meeting in which we discussed all the topics that we wanted to include within our research paper. We all came up with one thesis statement and agreed on it. Our findings for the assignment were as followed: teacher burnout, desocialization, stress, lack of physical activity, educator connection with students, and 21st century competencies. Research that we found on burnout actually stated that burnout was not actually a medical condition, which is quite interesting since most of us seem to be dealing with burnout. We found that increased exposure to smart devices actually leads to burnout. And because teachers were wary of change, this increased burnout rates. Burnout symptoms included exhaustion, fatigue, mental withdrawal, resentment, diminished motivation, difficulty concentrating, and decreased productivity. And however, we also found that as educators became more comfortable with learning management systems and online resources, the likelihood of burnout occurring will decrease. As pertaining to desocialization, our findings found that families face new challenges with lockdown and social distancing measures, which creates barriers in socialization. As students develop social skills and interact with online learning, authentic and deep, meaningful interactions are replaced with superficial bonds and easily broken relationships. Peer interactions allow children opportunities to experience and develop their understanding of social conversations and social norms that are critical to developing a theory of mind. Indeed, virtual learning did cause desocialization as students were less exposed to relationships and social bonds created with their peers that they would have in a normal school day. Many of us in the group were already experiencing higher levels of stress due to virtual learning. So the information that we found was actually not entirely surprising. We found that 56% of the students have reported higher levels of stress related to school during COVID, and 84% of fully online students reported the same. Reported symptoms included exhaustion, headaches, insomnia, and other stress level ailments. Stress levels are more pronounced among females than they were amongst men and among people of color. The majority of causes of stress include grades, tests, and other assessments, overall workload, lack of sleep, and time management. Just like higher stress levels, lack of physical activity was also something that we were noticing in our personal lives and in the lives of our students during virtual learning. We found research that stated that educators were not prepared or trained to the sudden switch to online learning, causing extended hours of sitting in front of their computers. Students also had to sit in front of their computers for extended period of time, limiting physical activity. And parents were reluctant to be taking them outside during the pandemic. Research was found that linked lack of physical activity to decreased mental health and wellness. And we also found suggestions on how to incorporate physical activity into our daily lives and improve mental health and wellness. While we were teaching virtually, or as our children were enrolled in virtual learning, we noticed that there was a shift between our relationship and the relationship with the students. So, research that we found to support this was that in COVID-19 had a negative impact on relationship between students and their teachers. 50% of students reported decreased relationship with their teachers. 71% reported having an adult at school help them with their problems, but it varied widely from school to school. And not enough students were checked in from teachers, and a lack of understanding of student challenges were potential causes of decreased relationships. In the past decade, there have been an increased focus on 21st century competencies across Canada. This is an important element of education, more so now than ever before. Students were needing to implement 21st century competencies through virtual learning. Teachers had to adapt their learning or their teaching of 21st century competencies to fit e-learning criteria. Teachers also stated that they were motivated to do so, but lacked the resources. So this is the fun part about any group work, is deciding who gets to do what, or the division of labor. And so as a group, we worked together before, so we knew what each other's strengths were. So we decided that each of us has to find at least 5 references each, about 4 to 5, and provide an annotated bibliography to go along with those. We each had strengths in doing research and looking for sources, so we were all pretty good about that. But we all had an emphasis on collaboration and supporting each other. So when one member of the team was done, then they would ask somebody else to review their work and so forth. Luckily, John had a previous experience doing a research paper, so he was in charge of the layout, while Janelle, Kelly, and we were in charge of making sure that everybody was on task, did their sections on time, and stayed on top of the citations and grammar checks. In addition to that, Janelle and I both took the time to meet with the Writing Center to get feedback and advice on our research paper. Our group was able to work exceptionally well together. Individually and as a group, we were able to find select academic literature, which was peer-reviewed and scholarly articles that pertain to implications virtual learning had on students and teachers' mental health. That was the main topic of our research paper. Furthermore, we were able to engage with one another as educational professionals on the implications that virtual learning had on our own mental health, as well as our students and our families. And related back to our topic, as well as meeting with NAIAB and the writing room to get feedback on our research paper and our topic as well. Furthermore, we were able to conduct and structure and report secondary research on a subtopic relating to psychology and digital technology. Our subtopic was mental health and how it was impacted by virtual learning. This stemmed off the topic of madness that was in one of the tutorials. And as far as digital technology, we concentrated on virtual and online learning. Therefore, we were able to meet 3 of the learning outcomes, if not more. Thank you for watching. This assignment has truly been an extraordinary experience. It has taught me a lot about me personally and pushed my boundaries. It has also taught me to rely on my teammates and their expertise, as well as resources available through the university, such as the Writing Center, which is really a hidden gem that more people need to access. Furthermore, I learned how to format a research paper properly through resources like APA.com or through Owl Purdue. In addition to that, I really learned about how virtual learning had a tremendous impact on students and teachers' mental health and well-being.